Let me show you a little magic trick. I can guarantee to you that I can play every scale that exists in our universe of 12 notes by only knowing one thing about the scale. Hi, I'm Justin Hornbach back from my practice cave and welcome to today's video where I'm going to show you this one thing that I need to know to play every scale, and I'm going to show you why this isn't maybe a magic trick at all. Here we go. Okay, for this lesson, for this method on how to know every scale, you basically need two things. And I have to be honest with you guys, those two things aren't something that that is going to present you on a silver platter. Those two things are something where we all should work on, but once we have reached this situation where we can apply those two things in our playing and really know them and control them because we have practiced them, I can guarantee you that this method will play new scales a lot easier. So what are those two things, you might ask? Those two things are, first, you need to have a system for yourself where you can play a major and a minor scale. It doesn't matter if this is caged or 3-note per string. These are the two systems which are, I would say, the most famous to organize our fretboard in scales, or 4 scales. Both two systems have pros and cons, and I would say some people are a little bit more tending to play 3-note per string, like I do, because 3-note per strings is a system that I've learned in the early days of my playing, and some people are a little bit more tend to play the caged system. As again, both are fine, and I think as an accomplished guitar player you should know both. But for today's method it's totally fine if you have one of these systems under your finger. Let me first briefly explain you the difference of caged and 3-note per strings. The caged system is a system around the 5 standard open chords that we have on the guitar. Those are C, A, G, E and D. Therefore comes the name caged, C, A, G, E and D. And you know this from bar chords, for example E minor. Just playing the E minor like this, like imagine we have a fret behind our nut, then we have a bar chord, bar A chord. And this is the kind of idea that applies to all of those open chords, and we are building out of them scales and finger shapes and stuff like that. Caged system is a little bit better to apply arpeggios and chord notes and stuff like that into your melodic playing, into your scale playing. 3-note per string is a little bit more of a symmetrical nature because, like the name said, we have only 3 notes per string. In cage it can happen that we have sometimes maybe 2 notes per string, like for example the most famous minor cage finger shape for A minor is this one here. And here we have 2 notes on the G string and then have a position shift. In the 3-note per string we have only 3 notes per string, and this makes it a little bit easier for all the technical kind of stuff, for all of our speed picking and everything that is a little bit faster and from technical more kind of nature. Here in this video I will demonstrate the method on both, on one cage system and on one 3-note per string system. For all the major scales that we are going to take a deeper look here, I'm going to play 3-note per string, C major in this case, and and for everything which is minor relevant, I'm going to demonstrate this on the A minor cage system. But I always recommend to learn all the finger shapes, the 7 shapes from 3-note per string and the 5 shapes from the cage system. Alright, and the second thing that we need to know to play every scale is intervals. And this, I can't stress enough, is so important to know your intervals on the fretboard. Organize your fretboard intervals. There are so many great lessons about intervallic playing out there on YouTube, from Martin Miller, from Tom Quayle, from so many great guitar players. Go check them out and go learn about intervals. I have said it in my 5 tips to write better solos, that it's so important to know your intervals, to play around chords and to have a little bit more kind of interesting colors in your playing. And we need those knowledge about intervals a lot in today's video. And so I would recommend everybody who don't know where the intervals are related to our root note in the finger shape of some cage system, that is the one that you are preferring, or the 3-note per string system, then I would recommend stop this video, go learn first the intervals of your system where you want to play your scale in. For this video, for this method, you don't need every kind of organization or interval thinking on the fretboard. It's totally fine if you only know from the shape that you're playing. For example, we're going back to the A minor caged shape. If you know, okay, here's my root note, then okay, here's the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, root note, second, and so on. Why is it important to know intervals? Easy question. Because scales consist out of intervals. Intervals are, for me personally, the Lego bricks from the big Lego Death Star that we have bought to make our Star Wars Lego dreams come true. And it's really important to know the build-up in a scale, what kind of intervals we have, because this is the key to every scale out there. Once we know how to apply this method in our playing, then we can take this Death Star from Lego and we can tear it apart brick by brick and then build out of that Death Star I don't know, a pirate ship or a big castle or whatnot. So the first step that I often do with my students is, when we know one scale, is to check out the modes from this kind of perspective. And I always like to see the modes in two categories, in a major mode and in a minor mode. And then seeing, okay, what kind of interval is different compared to our two mostly famous played modes, the minor and the major scale, or the Aeolian on the Ionian scale, the Ionian mode. For example, I'm thinking about doing a little bit longer video about modes, if you like, because I really love to talk about modes. It's one of my favorites topic when it comes to music theory. For example, the Dorian mode is a minor mode because we have the minor third, seeing it from our root note, but with a major sixth in there. So you can apply this system to every root note, and for example, taking our A, I want to play A Dorian, go to the sixth note from our shape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this one is a minor 6, and raising this one half step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going here. And there you go, you have the Dorian mode. Do this for the next octave. Here's the minor 6, now doing this one, the major 6. And there you have the important sound which makes Dorian Dorian, a minor scale with a major 6 in there. Phrygian is a minor scale with the sharp 9 in it, or the sharp second. That easy, that simple. Lydian is a major scale, but instead of having the normal fourth in there, we have the augmented fourth in there. I hope augmented is the right term, because in Germany we say augmented fourth to it, but the sharp 11. The fourth, which is not normal, it's one half step higher. Major scale, I do this now with the 3-note per string shape here. Here's our normal fourth. Sorry. Here's our normal fourth, doing this one half step higher, you have the Lydian sound. So you can see, modes can be that easy. It's a minor or a major scale, and then what interval makes the difference. And those little difference makes a lot of difference, a huge difference coming to sound. A Lydian mode does not sound like a major scale, like the Ionian mode, and the Mixolydian mode does not sound like the Ionian mode as well. So you see, it's really important to know your intervals to locate, okay, why does something sound different? Okay, it's because of the raised fourth, the augmented fourth, sharp 11, whatnot you want to call it. Okay, now going a little bit more into the exotic kind of area. The next field, after we have learned all the modes and the intervals that is really characteristic for those modes, we're going, for example, to the modes of melodic minor. And the modes of melodic minor are now comparing to the modes from our normal scale, but with some intervals that are different. For example, the fourth mode of melodic minor is Mixolydian sharp 11. So we have a Mixolydian scale, like for example, let me take C Mixolydian. And what we're now doing, we're adding the sharp 11, the augmented fourth to it. So we are keeping all of the same shape here with the minor 7 in that, but we are taking this fourth and doing it one half step higher. Isn't that easy? The same you can do with the fifth mode of melodic minor, which is Mixolydian flat 13. So flat 13 is the minor 6. So instead of playing this note, we're playing this note here. That easy. And to know all the modes from melodic minor, you only have to know, first of all, the modes from our regular scale and then the intervals that we are changing. Alright, let's go a little bit more into even more crazier kind of scales, exotic scales. And there we are, stumbling over a problem that I often talk about here on this channel when it comes to exotic scales. And this big problem is the naming of those exotic scales. I have a big problem naming scales Hirayoshi scale or Byzantine scale or whatnot. Maybe it's where those scales are coming from. But the problem is you don't get any information out of it. And if you have a different source of information, it wouldn't be that kind of mystery anymore about those kind of scales. Because then you see, oh, the Hirayoshi scale is just a pentatonic or a minor scale without the fourth and the 7. So by deleting those two notes, we instantly get this kind of sound. And you don't have to remember this weird name or can't get confused with all those names. You only have to know, okay, if I want to have this sound, I delete the fourth and the 7 and only have those intervals which make a lot of tension. The second, the third, the half tone steps and the half tone step between the fifth and the sixth, and applying them to the root. You don't have to change anything in your fingering, you only don't have to play those two notes. The rest of the fingering stays the same. Ta-da! And there you have really exotic scale. Let me take another one. I just stumbled over a scale called Locrian major. Okay, what is Locrian major? Well, it's just a major scale with the flat 5 and the minor 6 and the minor 7. So, or you could call it the Mixolydian scale with the flat 6 and flat 5 in it, with the diminished note. Sorry, sometimes the fingering. And that easy, I applied this one to my major 3-note per string scale that I know and just changed those little intervals. No need to learn all those crazy names and this fancy name. I know they are sounding great, but it's a lot easier than you might think in the beginning. Alright, now I have a little exercise for you to demonstrate where you can practice applying different intervals to your scale system. Let me change the camera really quickly and then here we go. So now here with my new setup, I think you will now get only the DI signal. But that's totally fine, or it should be totally fine. Well, okay, you need two things. To randomizer, or in German it's the beautiful word of Zufallsgenerator. You need one from 1 to 7 and one from 1 to 2. And 1 to 7 obviously are our 7 notes from the scale. And we are going to choose one through that randomizer to realize, okay, we need this note to change. We're not going to change the root, of course, the one. So every time when here the randomizer picks the one, we're going to turn around to turn again the randomizer. Okay, but first of all, we want to choose on which kind of scale we want to work on. Do we want to work on the major scales or do we want to work on the minor scales? I'm going to take the major scales. So I'm taking my 3-note per string major shape because, as I said in the beginning, for major I will use 3-note per string. All right, let's generate some numbers. Let me see what the randomizer is getting me, which kind of interval I have to change. Oh, the 6. Okay, now I'm going to the second tab, and here I choose now between 1 and 2. 1 means I will take this note lower 1/2 step, and 2 means I will take this note 1/2 step higher if it's possible, if this note is not interfering with a different note that already exists. For example, let me just generate here my note. All right, it's a 2. I have to go 1 step higher now. This is possible in the major scale. When we would play this now with the Mixolydian scale, it would not be possible because it would now interfering with our -7, because the raised 6 is or the augmented 6, or how you want to call it, is the same interval like the -7. You will see this here. Going to the 6 now. When I now go this one, or put this one 1 step higher, it's the same note like the -7. But in our major scale, this works. So the scale that I'm now playing is pretty cool. All right, let's take another one. Let's go first on the randomizer that is choosing our interval. And we are getting the fifths. All right. And now lower or higher? Ah, come on. Lower. Okay, so now it's a major scale with the normal fourth in it and the diminished fifths. Now I'm going to play this one as well over all the strings in every octave. Sorry. All right, pretty interesting sounding here. Here it doesn't necessarily come to, okay, does a scale sound good? Sometimes you will come across a scale which I think should be really, really awesome and really exotic, but here now it's a little bit more an exercise to work on your intervals and to work or to realize, okay, I need to have to change this interval here or here and there. So yeah, let me take another one. Let me, for example, do this now in minor as well, not in A minor because you will not see it really good here on that cam. I will do this now in E minor, but still with the cage system. All right. So first I'm going to choose which note I have to alter it. The 6 again, the 2. All right. And now lower or higher. Higher would not be possible right now because when we're making out of the second, the raised second, the sharp second, like from the Jimi Hendrix chord, it's going to interfere with the minor third because it's the same note. So I have to lower it. Okay, so now I have to play Phrygian. Minor scale with the sharp 9. Easy. Okay, let me take another one. Oh, the 4th, really interesting. Now, lower or higher? Higher. All right. So now we have a minor scale with the sharp 11, the raised 4th in it. Try to build up some riffs out of it. All right, and that's that little exercise that I have prepared for you. Try to check it out and try to improve your interval playing by using this randomizer exercise here. All right, I hope you liked this little method video about exotic scales and knowing all scales out there. If you like this video, then feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, and hit the subscribe button and the bell to always get notified when I'm going to upload free lessons, free covers, and free shredding stuff as well. All right, see you in my next video. Cheers.